give me your assessment of the state of legacy media at the moment, maybe the post-mortem, post-election, their level of credibility. I think MSNBC's ratings recently collapsed to its lowest since July 19th, 2004. 38,000 total viewers in the 24 to 54 age group, 30-year age bracket.
Look, there's a lot of, I have an article on my Substack, which is also a video called The Real Reason the Mainstream Media is Dying. And I think there's actually a lot of economic and other drivers of this. It's, people in our space like to go, oh, they've been discredited. Well, actually, if you apply the same standards to new media, most of the new media is equally discreditable.
Correct. It's not exactly showering itself in glory.
No, and it's, the amount of fact-checking that happens, which
just held to way less rigorous standards.
Right. That's basically all the difference is. It's like people on a podcast who will have some crazy guy on who's talking completely.
But what did you expect? It's just, it's me. We're just shooting the shit.
Right. Have a bigger audience than MSNBC or CNN, who then go, look at how they got this tiny fact wrong. So there's a lot of this bullshit going on, I think.
Agreed.
But the real reason is that I think the real shift is less about that, actually. And I think a lot of it is to do with the economics of how media works. If you think about what a news channel is or a newspaper is, it's basically they are buying individual creators, packaging them together and offering it to people as a package. You no longer need to do that because algorithms exist and you are able to curate your own stuff. And it also doesn't really make financial sense for the content creators. Nobody could put you on TV now, and it's not because because you think TV is discredited. It's because they don't have the audience to offer you or the money to offer you, whatever, because it makes more sense for you to cut out the middleman and go straight to your audience. It's the same for me with my Substack. It's the same for me with trigonometry on YouTube. So what's happening is the mainstream institutions are simply losing the ability to maintain the top talent. And over time, you will see that mass customization that we talked about with drinks applied to content as well. And probably, the next big thing is going to be some sort of thing on your phone which curates on an algorithm basis all the content that you like from different platforms, as opposed to being like, hey, I'm going on YouTube and I'm seeing this. If you had a thing on an app on your phone that went, well, here's the newspaper article you really want to read, the Substack from whoever, the video from whoever, etc.
A couple of tweets that are,
Exactly. So the economics of the whole thing are changing, and there's just a lot more competition now. So people have way more choice, and so you can go to wherever your particular preferences are being pandered to in the best possible way, and you can get exactly the thing,
or outrage or whatever.
As I say, for better or worse, you're going to get exactly what you want.
What's your thoughts on this? I guess, trifurcating of social media networks. A lot of liberal type people leaving X over the last month or so, some going to Blue Sky, some just swearing off of this altogether. The Guardian made a hefty exit note. I wonder whether they'll be back at some point. What are the implications of not only people being within their own echo chambers on the same platform, but being within their own echo chambers now that are entire universes apart?
Yeah, I don't think that's really happened in the sense that people think it's happened. I think what's happened is a lot of people have made loud exits. I don't think that the vast majority of those left-wing people have left to X. Some have. They post more on Instagram now or whatever. But broadly speaking, nobody wants to be on the third best social media platform. The network effect is very real. And so I don't think we're actually going to split off into our own political commentary websites, because the interaction is quite valuable with different sides. But we will see how that evolves. I mean, one of the things I am hopeful with X is that I was incredibly grateful to Elon for buying it and for the changes that he's made. But I do think there's more work to do, things that he himself identified when he took over, like dealing with the bot issue. And it has become a bit of a cesspit. It really has.
The shit posting is real.
Yeah. And so,
do you think Trump would have got in if Elon hadn't bought X?
Nobody knows. I suspect not, but maybe he would have done. I don't think anybody really knows. I think Elon's support and X was a big factor.
Cool thought experiment. Though.
But I really hope that over time, what happens is Elon continues to improve X, and there are improvements that could be made, and certainly finding a way. Like, I don't need to see the N-word in every reply thread. Do you know what I mean? Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that would be quite nice. And I'm sure there's ways of dealing with that. You know, Eric Weinstein, when we had him on, we had a kind of back and forth, and I sort of accused him of not having solutions. And I don't have solutions exactly, but I think the problem Jordan Peterson put his finger on a long time ago is that online anonymity causes a lot of issues. Online anonymity is also extremely valuable, but there's got to be some way of finding some kind of golden middle.
There are no solutions, only trade-offs.
Right.
That, yeah. What was it that he once said? Anonymity online has driven the proximate price of being a prick down to zero.
And so my point is, I'm not a snowflake who's triggered by some unpleasant word in the thing. I just recognize that if we're going to have a public square, the most retarded person ever shouting the most offensive word that he can think of the loudest is probably not conducive to a healthy discussion.
And also, is it an enjoyable environment to be in?
That's
you want
right.
to go onto social media, you know, everybody's seen this. It was Tristan Harris or the litany of limbic hijack techniques that we've seen from intermittent schedule rewards to designs being taken from gambling and casinos and stuff, all of that stuff. Even if that is all happening, at least trying to restrict down to make it an enjoyable experience. If you're going to hack my fundamental psychology to get me addicted to this app, at least have the thing that I'm addicted to, the content that I'm addicted to, be something that once I finish up, I go, So I went to this Spotify event in LA a couple of weeks ago. They announced this new creator partner program thing. And I went there and I got to sit down with Alex Nordstrom, who's president. And he told me, Roman Wassermuller as well, who's like the head of podcasting, told me the same thing. He said, we want the hour that people spend on Spotify every day, no matter what it is, but they're specifically talking about podcasting. We want that to be the best hour of their day that they spend on their screens, that they look back at it and they have no regrets. And they think that made my life better when we leave. And I don't know how many other apps, membership services and sites and stuff like that can say the same thing.
How much did they pay you to say that?
Nothing yet, but I think it's genuinely true. When I reflect on my own experience, when I reflect on my own use of these sorts of platforms, I can't always say the same thing for YouTube. I need to be more disciplined on YouTube. It's like a tool that can be used for good or evil on YouTube, and then as we get more toward Instagram, it sort of skews a little bit darker. The 5 times a year that I go into TikTok, I'm like, oh my god, it's a potent fucking fuel. Substack, I would say, for me, is even more reliably better.
Oh, Substack's amazing.
Hours spent than on Spotify, but more effortful.
Yes, you have to read.
Exactly. Even if I listen, you know, voiceovers and stuff like that. But yeah, I really, really hope that energy can kind of be a little bit more infused. And I'm aware that is going to damage time on site, that's going to reduce interaction, that's going to reduce engagement, that's going to make companies less profitable in some ways or whatever. But I wonder whether the post-content clarity that people have after they've spent a bit of time on something can end up winning over outrage, triggering porn at all costs. And I that makes sense to me around, like, does every other reply, there is a lot of shit posting on X now, because it's like the shiny new toy where people can say pretty much whatever they want. And not that it's just not a superbly enjoyable experience as much of the time as I would like it to be. Like, should be able to be easily fixed.
Should it?
I would hope so. I think that if you can curate your algorithm in a manner where you can say, hey, I want to step in. I'm not limiting free speech at all. It's like, that's not the sort of stuff I want to see. I don't see music from very many jazz bands on Spotify. You know, the YouTube algorithm tends to show me stuff, for the most part, that I actually agree with. YouTube doesn't outrage porn you all that much with opposing point of view. Now, maybe that's echo chambery, and obviously lots of content creators that you like may find something not that you agree with, but something they disagree with, which you will also disagree with. But I get the sense that there could be more work to be done. That being said, I follow 101 people on Twitter, which is a very good way to just constrain down reality to the point where most of what you see is fine. But I'm aware that that's a...
And you can mute people who are rude or whatever, or block them.
Even that, the muting and the blocking thing, Elon announced an update to that relatively recently, I think.
Yeah, the blocking thing, people who you've blocked still see your stuff. Yeah.
In other news, this episode is brought to you by Function. Did you know that your annual physical only screens for around 20 biomarkers? That leaves a lot of gaps when it comes to understanding your health, which is why I partnered with Function. They run lab tests twice a year that monitor over 100 biomarkers. They even screen for 50 types of cancer at stage 1. They've got a team of expert physicians that takes that data, puts it into a simple dashboard, and gives you actionable recommendations to improve your health and lifespan. They track everything from your heart health to your hormone levels, thyroid function. Plus, Dr. Andrew Huberman is their scientific advisor and Dr. Mark Hyman is their chief medical officer. So you can trust that the data and insights you receive are scientifically sound and practical. Getting your blood work analyzed like this would usually cost thousands, but with Function, it's only $500. And right now, you can get the exact same panels I get, plus bypass their 400,000 person waitlist by going to the link in the description below or heading to functionhealth.com/modernwisdom. That's functionhealth.com/modernwisdom. What's happening, people? Thank you very much for tuning in. You enjoyed that little morsel with Konstantin? Of course you did. Full meal available right here. Dig in.